Are you struggling to squat below parallel? Do your knees or hips feel tight? Here are 3 exercises that you can do to drop your ass to grass in your squats. When it comes to the barbell squat, whether that's front squat, back squat, or even overhead squat, a lot of people seem to struggle with pain or tightness in the ankles, the knees, the hips, or even the low back. The 3 exercises that I'm going to show you in just a minute are going to target everything that we need to hit on in order to have a better squat pattern. But first, it's important to note and understand that the squat is just a collection of various different biomechanics. We have ankle dorsiflexion, knee flexion, hip internal rotation and flexion, and then we can also be looking at the position of the pelvis as well. Now, of all the biomechanics that I just mentioned, there are going to be 3 main things that we want to address as a top priority to make the best results when it comes to improving that deep squat position. Ankle dorsiflexion, hip internal rotation, and the position of the pelvis. Once we improve those things, everything else is going to kind of come together and improve as well. So let's jump into exercise number 1. So here's my lovely wife Alix to help demonstrate the exercise for us while I explain it. The first one that we're going to go through is called ankle reapers to help us train deep ankle dorsiflexion in a very active way. So it's going to be huge for helping us maintain vertical torso position as we move through our squat pattern. So if you feel like you're leaning forward a lot in your squats, this is going to help. And it's also going to help us get our knees past our toes a little bit more effectively. So ankle reapers. We're going to start by bringing our knee way past our toe as far as we can before the heel starts to come off the floor. Once we're in that position, you're going to notice that it's not going to look like anything is happening here. You're not going to see any positional change, but as you're performing it, it's going to burn like crazy, which is good. That's what we want. So getting that knee past the toe. From here, we're going to pull the top of the foot to try to touch it to our shin for a nice strong contraction in the shins here. So what we're doing is building short range ankle dorsiflexion strength with this. So what I like to do, come forward as far as you can, pull as hard as you can for a nice contraction and hold for a count of 5. Every rep, you're going to come forward again, find that deep end range position, and again, avoiding that heel to come off the floor and really training that ankle dorsiflexion in that end range position. Exercise number 2 is a tactical frog. I really love this one for training the muscles that are responsible for hip internal rotation, and it's really great for getting a nice deep stretch through that function of the hip as well. So what we're going to do, getting into a classic frog stretch position, get the heels parallel with the knees here as much as possible. If that increases the stretch too much and you're not quite there yet, you can pull your heels closer together. Pull your heels closer together and show them. And from there, you can perform the exercise. It makes it a little bit easier. Otherwise, let's try to intensify this a little bit. So to start, we're going to sink the hips back towards the heels to get a nice deep stretch through the hips. Then we're going to come forward slightly and pull that foot up towards the ceiling for a nice strong contraction in the hips and hold for about 2 to 3, and then come back to starting and go back into that deep stretch once again. Come forward and perform the exercise on the other side. You're going to go back and forth, alternating contractions from hip to hip and training that internal hip rotation, which is going to help you sink deeper into the squat position and really improve the position of your pelvis as you're going through that squat pattern. Exercise number 3 is the squat and reach. So now you can see that we're kind of combining all the biomechanics that are necessary to perform a squat pattern and just applying them as a whole right now. So this position is already currently challenging for you. So what we can do is elevate the heels. And from there, you're going to find that you're able to sit in this position more comfortably and train the position more effectively as a result. So to perform this exercise, we're going to plant one hand on the floor while the elbow is on the inside of the knee to help avoid letting the knee cave in. So you're going to push into that knee a little bit to open up the hip. With the other hand, we're going to reach up towards the ceiling and look, keeping an eye on your hand as you reach. That's going to help you rotate your spine and train your spine to move independently of your hips. Once you've completed a rep on that one side, you're going to come back and do exactly the same thing on the other side. So the hand is planted on the floor, elbow inside the knee to push the hip open, and then you're going to reach up to the ceiling with the other arm. Eventually, as you improve this position, we're going to remove the plate so that you're back down with heels on the floor, and then you're going to continue to train it and improve that deeper squat position through that process. So there you have it, 3 different exercises that are beneficial for addressing the main biomechanics that are responsible for improving that deep squat position. Remember that in order to improve your mobility in these areas, it's important to not just stretch these things out, but to address them actively. We want to make sure that we're having an influence over the nervous system, and to do that, we're going to need to make sure that we are active and that you're engaging your muscles and applying intensity to those exercises. So the only questions left to answer now are about programming. How many sets? How many reps? Should I be doing rest periods? I'm going to give you some advice down in the description below, but if you want to follow a program that has already thought about all this and remove any of the questions you may have, you can check that description below as well, and we're going to have a link in there for our end range program, and I'm going to give you 50% off your first month. As always, if you found value in this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and of course, you can always check this video out as well. I feel like it might be helpful for you. Check it out.